All right, so we're going deep on fear today.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, you've been looking into this a lot.
Yeah.
And even sent over that Mel Robbins video,
Mm-hmm.
The Secret to Stopping Fear and Anxiety.
Yeah. So, sounds good.
It seems like you're ready to move past just like
Right.
understanding fear and actually like
Yeah.
get to conquering it.
Yeah. I think so many people just get stuck in that, like,
Right.
understanding phase.
Totally.
It's like, oh, I get it,
Yeah.
but now what?
Yeah, and that's where Mel Robbins comes in
Haha.
with her 5-second rule,
Yeah.
which she says can help us use fear to our advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, I'm a little skeptical,
Yeah, I get that.
but I'm also intrigued. What do you think?
Well, the 5-second rule might sound kind of like a quick fix,
Yeah.
but it actually is based on some pretty interesting psychological principles.
Okay, interesting.
Like, take her point about
Yeah.
fear and excitement feeling the same
Yeah.
in your body.
Oh, yeah.
Like-
heart racing and all that.
Exactly. Yeah, the racing heart, the sweaty palms.
Yeah.
She's not wrong there, is she?
No, not at all.
No.
I've had that same exact feeling
Right.
before giving a presentation,
Totally.
but also like before going on a roller coaster that I was
yeah.
really excited about.
Yeah.
So if it's the same physical feeling,
Right.
what is going on in our minds
But
to
it-
make
That's the question.
one experience so terrifying
Yeah.
and the other one so exhilarating?
Right. It really is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Mel Robbins says it's all about
Okay.
how we interpret those physical sensations.
Got it.
If we label them as fear,
Yeah.
our brain triggers all these avoidant
Yeah.
behaviors.
Like, okay, I'm going to stay away from this thing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But if we can reframe those same sensations as excitement,
Okay.
then it can actually propel us forward.
So it's like,
It's like our brain is a car,
okay.
and our thoughts are choosing whether to slam on the brakes or
Like that.
hit the gas pedal.
I like that metaphor a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm starting to see where
Yeah.
she's going with this.
Okay, good.
But I do want to push back a little bit here.
Okay, sure.
We've all heard the advice
Mm-hmm.
to just calm down or face your fears.
Yeah.
But Mel Robbins says those are counterproductive.
Yeah.
And I want to hear what you think about that.
Well, she's right, because trying to force yourself to calm down
Okay.
is like trying to stop a train with your bare hands.
Whoa.
You're fighting against your body's natural stress response,
Right.
which honestly can make things worse.
So you're saying it's more effective too.
What's much more effective is to acknowledge the fear,
Okay.
but then shift your focus to something more empowering.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's where the 5-second rule and the afterthought come in.
Exactly.
And it sounds almost deceptively simple.
Right.
You count down from 5 and then you just immediately replace
Right.
the fear-based thought with a positive thought.
Yeah.
Could it really be that easy?
Well, the simplicity is part of its appeal,
Yeah.
but let's unpack why it might actually work.
Okay.
Okay, so that countdown acts as a pattern interrupt.
Okay.
So it's like hitting the reset button
Got it.
on your brain's fear response,
Mhm.
which gives you a brief window to consciously choose
Okay.
a different thought.
Interesting.
Think of it like those moments when you almost say something you shouldn't,
Oh, yeah.
and then you catch yourself the last second.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that same mental agility,
Okay.
but applied to fear.
So you're not saying eliminate the fear altogether.
Exactly.
You're
But
saying,
more about hijacking the thought process before
Right.
it spirals out of control.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So the 5-second countdown
Right.
buys you time.
Exactly. It buys you time to steer your mind
So-
in a different direction.
I like that.
And that's where the anchor thought comes in,
Okay.
which isn't just any random positive thought.
Right.
It needs to be strategically chosen.
Okay. To directly counter your specific fear.
So Mel Robbins uses the example of being nervous
Right.
before a big presentation.
Yeah.
And her anchor thought was picturing herself connecting with the audience and feeling that sense of accomplishment afterwards.
Exactly.
So is that kind of like a...
It's more nuanced than a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, okay.
Remember we were just talking about how
Yes.
the body reacts similarly to both fear and excitement?
Right.
So by choosing an anchor thought that evokes positive emotion,
Uh-huh.
you're essentially tricking your brain
Okay.
into interpreting those physical sensations
Uh-huh.
as excitement rather than fear.
So instead of that nervous energy making you
Yeah.
want to run for the hills,
Right.
it can actually fuel your performance.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Think about athletes who thrive under pressure.
Oh, yeah.
They've learned to channel those nerves into focus
Yeah.
and determination.
Mm-hmm.
The anchor thought is like a mental tool that helps you do the same.
Interesting.
So it's like almost like a reframing.
Yeah, totally. It's totally a reframing technique.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. This could be really helpful.
Yeah.
Like for those everyday fears that hold us back.
Totally.
But what about the
Right.
deeper fears?
Yeah.
Like fear of failure or fear of heights.
Yeah.
Can a thought really override those?
Well, it's important to remember
Okay.
that the 5-second rule
Yeah.
isn't a magic wand.
Right.
It's a tool.
Okay.
And like any tool,
Yeah.
it requires practice and the right technique
Right.
for those deeper fears. The key is to identify the specific thought patterns
Okay.
that fuel them
Yeah.
and then craft an anchor thought
Okay.
that directly challenges those narratives.
So someone with a fear of heights,
Right.
instead of thinking I'm safe,
Exactly.
they need a more tailored thought.
Yeah.
Like-
Like remembering a time they felt strong and capable
Okay.
while doing something adventurous.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the more specific,
Right.
the more personal the anchor thought is.
The more effective it'll be in shifting your emotional state.
Interesting.
It's like replacing a faulty circuit breaker
Okay.
in your brain.
Got it.
You're rewiring your response to the trigger.
Mel Robbins shared some
Yeah,
pretty compelling success stories in her video.
she did.
Like the woman who used the 5-second rule
Yeah.
to overcome her fear of flying.
Right.
She went from having panic attacks on planes
Yeah.
to actually enjoying her flights.
That's great.
Have you seen similar results?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, one of my clients
Okay.
used this technique to overcome her fear of public speaking.
Interesting.
She was terrified of presenting at a conference, but after practicing the 5-second rule
Okay.
and creating an anchor thought that focused on sharing her expertise
Yeah.
and connecting with the audience,
Okay.
she not only gave the presentation,
Wow.
but she received a standing ovation.
That's amazing. It really shows the power
It really does.
of reframing our thoughts.
Yeah.
But I do wonder about the potential
Right.
pitfalls of this.
Yeah.
Is there a risk
Sure.
that people might use the 5-second rule
Yeah.
to avoid dealing with
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
deeper emotional issues?
It's important to remember that the 5-second rule
Yeah.
is not a substitute for therapy or other forms of mental health support.
Right.
If you're struggling with chronic anxiety
Yeah.
or deep-seated fears,
Yeah.
it's essential to seek professional guidance.
It's like any self-help technique.
Exactly.
It can be
Like the-
incredibly empowering
Yeah.
when used appropriately,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah, you got it.
So for our listener who's ready
Huh.
to give this a try,
Yeah.
what's the best way?
So I recommend starting with
Okay.
small everyday fears.
Okay.
Notice when you feel that wave of anxiety
Yeah.
creeping in,
All right.
whether it's before a challenging conversation.
Or when you're tempted to procrastinate on a task,
Yeah.
that's your cue to hit the 5-second countdown
Okay.
and activate your anchor thought.
So instead of letting those negative thoughts
It's
mineral
really-
ball,
Yeah.
you're interrupting the pattern
Yes.
and choosing a more empowering response.
And as you practice this technique
Okay.
in those smaller moments,
Mm-hmm.
you'll build the mental muscle memory
Interesting.
to tackle bigger fears with more confidence.
So it's like training your brain
It
to be
is.
more resilient.
Exactly.
Okay.
The more you practice reframing fear as excitement,
Mm-hmm.
the more natural it will become.
Got it.
It's like learning a new language.
Yeah.
At first, it's awkward
Right.
and unfamiliar,
Totally.
but with consistent effort,
Yeah.
it becomes more fluent and effortless.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It sounds like we can really like train ourselves
Yeah.
to be better at dealing with this.
Totally.
It's a skill we can develop.
It is.
It's not just something,
We're born with or without.
it's not a personality trait.
Yeah, that's really empowering.
It is. And that's one of the things I love about Mel Robbins' work.
Mm-hmm.
She says it's not about becoming fearless.
Right.
It's about becoming fear aware.
Okay.
So it's about understanding how fear works
Yeah.
and then developing tools to manage it.
So instead of fear running the show,
Right. Right.
we can learn to use it as fuel.
Yeah. It's a totally different way of thinking about it.
Yeah, that's a big shift.
It is.
It is.
It really aligns with
Yeah.
what we know about human potential. You know, we talk about
Yeah.
stepping outside of our comfort zones to grow,
Right.
and that always involves fear.
Right. Yeah.
But if we can see fear as a sign that we're on the right track, that we're challenging ourselves,
Yeah.
it can become a source of motivation.
So true. I'm thinking about all the things I've avoided in my life. because of fear.
Yeah.
New challenges, speaking up for myself,
Mm-hmm.
trying new things.
Yeah.
What if those moments of hesitation
Right.
were actually like
Totally.
opportunities for growth?
Exactly. And imagine the possibilities.
Yeah.
When we see fear as a compass
Okay.
guiding us toward our true selves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on board with this.
Awesome.
But I know there will be times
Mhm.
when that fear is so strong,
Right.
it's hard to remember the 5-second rule,
Yeah.
let alone come up with an anchor thought.
Okay, so first of all,
Yeah.
be kind to yourself. It's
Yeah.
okay to feel fear.
Right.
It's totally normal.
Right.
We're not trying to be fearless.
Right. We're just trying
We're just trying to manage it better.
to manage it.
Yeah, when that fear feels overwhelming.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best thing you can do
Okay.
is just focus on your breath.
Okay.
Just take slow, deep breaths
Yeah.
and count them if it helps.
Okay.
This can calm your nervous system
Okay.
and give you a moment to reset.
Like hitting the pause button
All
on
that
fear
shit.
response.
And remember, it's a practice.
Okay.
Some days will be easier than others.
Right.
The key is to keep using the tools that work for you.
Okay.
The 5-second rule,
Hmm.
anchor thoughts,
Yeah.
deep breathing,
Yeah.
talking to a friend or a therapist.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is a good place
Yeah.
to wrap up our deep dive today.
Okay.
We talked about the nature of fear. We unpacked the 5-second rule
Yeah.
and even talked about how to reframe fear
Right.
as a potential tool for growth.
I love that.
What stands out to you?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that
Okay.
we have more control over our fear than we think.
Yeah.
It's not about eliminating it.
Right.
It's about having the tools and the mindset
Okay.
to deal with it effectively.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
Fear is a part of life,
it is.
but it doesn't have to control us.
Right.
And if we can learn to use it to our advantage,
Yeah.
who knows what we can accomplish.
Exactly.
That's all for our deep dive today.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.